Are we live? We are live. Ooh, I'm loud. I'm really loud. I am so sorry about that. I think I blew everyone's eardrums out. Oh, no. Okay.
Y'all can hear me just fine, right?
You got to start out the live stream speaking at maximum volume so that you get a ton of comments. Right. And that's how you find out that it's too loud.
That's very true. Because I think the last time we did a gaming one, we were like screaming into the
yeah, and everyone was like, be quiet.
Oh, no, you broke the streak.
Oh, no.
It was like 3 weeks in a row.
It's coming through my phone. I didn't even think I had it on my phone. What the heck?
That's impressive.
I found a new way to fail.
Look at that. Always find a new way to fail. Anyways, welcome to the Dorks Next Door. I am your man, Andy York. Thank you guys so much for being here on our live stream as we talk about the Joker. If you haven't seen the movie, we will try not to spoil it for you. We'll probably have a spoiler-free and then a spoiler-filled section. We'll let you know when we're talking spoilers. There'll be like a big spoiler thing over my head right in this general area somewhere. So be on the lookout for that. So don't click on the video if you haven't seen the movie. That's smart thinking. Anyways, but we really appreciate you guys joining us here on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you hadn't already. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Hit all of that good stuff. And we will appreciate it. So thank you for that. As always, I'm joined by Jason Lee. Jason, how are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday? Chilly Tuesday. Finally.
I have way more energy than usual.
You do.
I have way more energy than usual, and I don't know why.
It's a good movie to talk about.
Yeah, that's part of it. Part of it is also that it's fall, and I really love fall.
And the pumpkin spice latte really helped.
Yeah.
But I think you heard an unfamiliar voice there for a second, off camera, because of his. That's how he likes to do on his YouTube channel as well. So we respect his wishes and keep him off camera because we didn't want him to be the only beautiful face on camera between our two.
Exactly.
Faces,
we didn't want him to outshine us in that regard.
We got to keep our maintain of ugliness here, okay?
Yeah.
So we got to do that. But no, Xander the Commander, who has a YouTube channel called Xander the Commander Targaryen, the link is in the description. Go give him some love. Is here with us, man. How are you?
Doing good. About you, Andy?
Doing good. Doing really good. We just got done recording our podcast version of the Joker review, and it's probably my favorite episode we've recorded.
Me too.
It's up there with like our in-game episode and a few other ones. So this was definitely one of our special episodes. So definitely give it a listen on Friday on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Google Play. You can catch it there for those. But yeah, go ahead and tell some of the people in our chat what you are all about, what you're into, what you like to do, things like that.
I'm an anime watcher. You know, I love things like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Bleach, One Piece, Rurouni Kenshin, things like that. I'm also into playing video games. I play Overwatch a lot, even though I get very salty. I play Kingdom Hearts, Spider-Man PS4 was awesome, God of War, Assassin's Creed, stuff of that nature.
Oh yeah, God of War is one of my favorite games. It was so much fun.
Me too, man.
It was so much fun. Gump said, so wait, I'm not going to be your first guest. Rip, we've had other guests on here too. He's our first in studio. No, your brother was in studio too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's our first in-studio guest with a pre-existing YouTube channel.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Because we had your brother on, and then we had Nico on for in-game.
And we can have Gump be our first.
Second
probably
guest?
not in studio, right?
Mm-hmm. No, probably not.
He can be our.
You can be first.
I'll think about it, and I'll probably get back to you.
You can be first in our hearts.
He can be the special guest star.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
With very special guest.
Very special guest, Gump.
Yeah.
We love you, Gump. You're first in my heart.
Right.
Yeah. But we are going to talk about the Joker movie. We're going to give our spoiler-free thoughts. We're not going to be only 20 minutes for this live stream because last week I was going to go see Joker, so we cut the live stream really short. So we're going to have a full live stream this time talking about the Joker, talking spoiler-free and spoiler-filled. So if you have not seen the movie yet, we'll let you know about all of that when we're going to talk spoilers and things like that. So initial reaction to the movie was good. Very good. Excellent.
Yes.
Loved it. All three of us talked about how much we loved it. We talked about beforehand how we didn't know what to expect going into it, and I don't think we would have expected anything we got from this movie beforehand as well. The trailers didn't the trailer showed a little bit, but not a whole lot, which I love because I hate when trailers give everything away. Looking at you, Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I love it when they give you just enough to get you excited to go see this movie. So, what are some of your guys' spoiler-free thoughts on the Joker?
I absolutely thought it was great because, again, we don't really get much movies like this anymore where it's structured in this way.
Yeah.
Like I said before on the podcast, many movies nowadays are very formulaic. You know, you kind of know what you're getting into just by looking at the trailers.
Yeah.
And like you said, I appreciate the fact that the trailers didn't give away the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason, what do you think about it?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think in terms of construction, it is definitely the best comic book movie of this year. It's the best comic book movie in a little while in terms of live action. Last year we had Spider-Verse, which was like, you know, the fantastic like dark horse kind of that we weren't expecting to be as great as it was. The year before that we had Logan. Yeah. You know, and all of those are kind of like standout films. And as we talked a little bit about on the podcast, what we love about the MCU is like its intricate construction and a lot of the ways it actually has made a universe.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's wonderful. And I'm super obsessed with that. But I love kind of left field movies like this too, or really just like more solo films that are going for a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Going for their own standalone film. You know, which like in terms of normal movies, that's normally what you get. But in terms of comic book movies, the MCU has been so dominant lately, you know, which is great. But I also love that I have Joker as well, which is left field. It's absolutely its own standalone thing, you know, and it's a masterpiece in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Right. I definitely agree with you. I think this was... Because like, a lot of people beforehand were saying, like, this is the film of the year, and like this is going to be a great movie. And we even talked about last week of like, going into it with like if you give it too many expectations, will it meet those expectations? And so I went into it with like medium expectations, just because of like when we talked about this before with like BVS had like a fantastic trailer. The trailer for BVS made it look like it was going to be one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Yeah. And then you go watch the movie, and it's one of the worst superhero movies of all time.
I will say this: Zack Snyder, he knows how to frame a shot.
He does, and he knows how to make the trailer look epic, and then you go watch the movie and you're like, ooh,
and that's it.
Yeah.
And you played us.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But like with this, I went into it with medium expectations, and all my expectations were like preceded. Like everything was everything about it was fantastic. So we're going to talk about all the spoilers here in a minute. We do have a comment from Gump. Obviously, it said it's not the masterpiece everyone is claiming it to be, but it's still a high quality film.
See, I can agree to that.
Yeah. You literally said masterpiece as soon as you told me.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Yeah.
I don't know. Because I haven't seen like every film that's come out this year, right?
Yeah.
So like I can't like say it's the best film of the year, but from like a comic book movie standpoint, it's the best comic book movie of the year.
Right.
And so
now, and again, what we talked about, like what I was saying with the MCU, in terms of an experience, Endgame.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
Just because of my huge investment in that universe and in those characters, if I had to pick one that I needed more than the other, Endgame.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But which one is a better film? Which one did I walk out more impressed on a technical level by?
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of ways, Joker.
Yeah. And I think
definitely.
And it's the same thing with like last year. Last year, the event, like the movie that everyone needed and was like super excited for and was a great experience was Infinity War.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the best comic book movie of that year by far was Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like by far. And so like I think it's like the same thing here of like Endgame was the movie I needed the most. Joker was a movie I did not know I needed. To be that great.
Because
I think it's a great thing.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. When I first heard that the Joker movie was going to be a thing, I automatically said, I ain't seeing this crap. Because, first of all, it's DC.
Right.
And we all know, because the last Joker we got, well, let's just say he wasn't the best. I mean.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
That's a great way. That's a nice way. That's the nicest way of putting it for Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Like, he was not the best by any stretch of the imagination. So when I heard they were going to have a standalone Joker movie, especially one featuring Joaquin Phoenix, which I was like, Joaquin Phoenix, he doesn't strike me as Joker. He looks more like Walter Frey's son. But then I saw him in the film, and I was like, okay, you know what? I take back all the smack I was talking about this film. Every negative thing I said just melted away.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that kind of popped into my head was the last time we got, because Joker's not even like an anti-hero. Like Joker is a straight up
villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the things that popped in my head, though, was like, okay, we just got Venom. Like, we just had this Venom movie that we did not need, was not good.
Literally night and day difference between Joker and how you do a comic book villain movie.
It is, but like beforehand though, I had that expectation of like, is this going to be just like this?
Right.
Yeah.
Like if this is not done properly, this movie is going to be abysmal and like dreadful and like something that people are going to be talking about not in a good way.
Right, like video game movies. The curse of video game movies is that they are basically always going to be terrible. And there are...
Yep, need I bring up the Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Or Assassin's Creed. Have you watched the Assassin's Creed movie?
I never even went to see it,
It's not good, but it's like what I said with Venom. It's not good, but it was a little bit better than what I thought it was going to be. So it was a little step up, not a massive step up.
And then the Sonic movie trailer comes out, and we're like, yep, it's another video game movie. But it's like, I'm glad that the curse has already been broken with comic book villain movies, because I'm expecting we will get more in the future. How excited I am about that, I don't know, because I think that the Joker is just such a special, insular thing, and it's its own thing.
He is. And we talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but like the thing about the Joker is his origin story is so like it changes so much. Like it can literally be anything you want it to be. And so like this is like one of the perfect characters to start with of like any origin story, if it's done properly, will be fantastic. Because like it's believable because it's the Joker. Which we'll talk about all of that when we get into the spoiler section as well. But I blown away by this movie.
Yeah.
Blown away by how good this movie was. Like we talked about, Joaquin Phoenix was obviously the standout. Robert De Niro was fantastic in this movie as well.
Yeah.
He played his part really, really well. I forget who played Thomas Wayne.
I forget.
Me too.
He looks like he would play Thomas Wayne. But he had
that guy who looked like Thomas Wayne. He did a great job.
He did a great job. Like he did a great job of giving us a different take of what Thomas Wayne would be. Because like in the Dark Knight series, they made him out to be like this
good guy.
Well, sort of. Because like when Falcone was talking, they kind of made him sound like he was a little bit in like the...
we saw him through kind of Bruce's perspective, and of course Bruce is going to kind of idolize who his dad is.
Yeah, because the thing is about the Waynes too is like they are always kind of put up on a pedestal. One thing I like that they did with the Telltale game of Batman is that they kind of showed that the Waynes were shady people.
Yeah, I forgot about that game. That was fun.
It was awesome.
I love that. Gump said, was it Sean Bean? He looked like him. I don't know. I'll have to look.
Well, he did die, so it very well could have been.
All men must die.
Oh.
That's right. Shocker, Bruce Wayne's parents die in every movie that they're in. Anyways. So anything else that you guys want to talk about before we jump into the spoiler section, which I need to put this...
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to expect Joker to come in and wreck house for like 2 hours, then you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you are going to look at the film as simply a film, because this film, it almost doesn't even feel like a comic book movie, to be honest. But if you just look at it from a film perspective, this is great.
Yeah.
I
think that's a really good take. Is like it doesn't feel like it's. If you didn't know, if like the Joker was not an established character in the comic book movie, like a comic book franchise, you wouldn't think this was a comic book movie at all.
No.
You would just think that this is just some crazy guy standing up for it, like going crazy. That's exactly what you would think.
Right.
Which I did see a very interesting take of a picture of John Wick said a guy kills a whole bunch of people over his dog and nobody blinks an eye. But a guy dressed up as a clown starts killing people and everyone starts losing their mind. There's Heath Ledger at the bottom telling that. I thought that was great. But we are going to jump into our spoiler talk of this movie. As you can see, the wonderful... I lied, it's not up here. It's right here. Right here. So we are in spoiler territory for the Joker. So if you haven't seen this movie, I'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and pause it or click on out and then come back and listen to this part later, or listen to our podcast that comes out on Friday where we talk about this movie and give our spoiler review and things like that of it as well. So give everyone a little bit of a chance to get out as I look up I'll look up who Thomas Wayne was in Joker, because that's going to bug the crap out of me if I don't figure out who played Thomas Wayne in Joker. It was, guess what, it's not going to tell me.
Oh, it's that guy.
That guy.
Brent Cullen.
Yeah, he played in, I don't remember what else he played in. He played in a few other things. He played in the Dark Knight movie, didn't he?
Did he? Was he?
He was one of the politicians in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, I thought he was Falcone.
We're gonna have to look this up now.
No, that's Batman Begins. Never mind.
I may be wrong. Yeah, he was in Dark Knight Rises. Yeah,
Huh.
he was the one. So you know how they were at the thing for Harvey Dent at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they're talking about how the two politicians are talking about how
Gordon's career is
Gordon's
over.
career is done. And
Yeah.
the guy said because this is a time of peace, not a time of war. That was
Yeah.
So, and he's the one I think that also got kidnapped by Catwoman.
Oh.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Huh.
So that's actually kind of cool. It kind of brings it down a little bit.
Big
We'll
Batman
say this
fan.
for all you anime fans watching out there. One person I did recognize was a cop from that god-awful piece of trash Death Note movie that they made on Netflix. I did recognize him as one of the cops.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So I guess he's just one of those guys that enjoys being cops, kind of like that dude on Family Matters.
Yeah, or he was have you ever seen the show Blue Bloods?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so like the youngest son of the commissioner that's also a cop is also a cop in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, really?
He's the one that shoots at Batman on accident.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
Batman's
if you play
just looking
cop
at him
once,
like,
you
for
play
real?
twice.
Yeah.
So okay, so jumping into the spoiler territory, I think you've had plenty of enough time now to leave if you haven't seen this movie. But we are going to discuss a lot of things with this movie. First off, and I posed this question in the podcast, the way this movie ended could be interpreted one or two ways, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
With this being an actual representation of the Joker's origin, or this was all in his mind, and he kind of played this off as basically what the Joker does best. Because you brought this up in our podcast, this movie was very similar. It felt like a Killing Joke-esque type of movie for Joker. And so even in that, he at the very end, he's like, my origin is like a multiple choice. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get that feeling here of was everything that happened, did it actually happen that way? And so what do you guys think of, was this the actual origin story? Was it all in his mind? What do you think?
I feel like it could have been all in his mind, but if it was the actual story, I wouldn't mind it because this is a pretty good story for the Joker starting out.
Yeah.
But it does go in so many ways, and there is a lot of evidence that supports the fact that this is just all in his head. We do see him for a split second at the beginning already in an asylum, and also his love interest, who not really his love interest.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that say this could be baloney, but maybe it's not.
Because one of the things that I really started to think about when this popped up was his therapist at the beginning of the movie looked very similar to his therapist at the end of the movie when he ends up killing.
Right.
They look very, very similar, and so that was one of the things of this is kind of if this is not, because it would be such a Joker thing to make up his own origin story or lie about his own origin story. What do you think, Jason? As you take a drink.
I talked about this a little bit on the podcast, and I think that it's really stupid that... Okay, sorry, backtracking. Todd Phillips, who's the director of this movie, said, what if this isn't the actual Joker origin story? Mm-hmm. What if this is an inspiration for the real Joker? Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Which, you're the director, you should know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I'm fine with things being open to interpretation.
Right.
These are fake comic book characters in a movie that is not about real life. So the canon in this is whatever you want it to be. This is a standalone movie. That's like if Christopher Nolan said, what if the Dark Knight trilogy, what if that wasn't actually Batman, but this guy ends up being an inspiration for the guy who eventually becomes the real Batman?
Yeah.
And the only reason that it's different is because that was 3 movies compared to 1. It's equally dumb.
Right.
So all that would serve to do is just trivialize this entire story, trivialize this entire movie. Why does the movie matter?
Yeah, because it would be like having a fake Joker in place of the actual Joker, but I think we all just want to go see the actual Joker, whether his story was real or not, the one that he's telling in the asylum, whether it's real or not.
Right.
We want this guy to be Joker.
Right. And so I fully agree with that. Of Joaquin Phoenix was the Joker. He had to have been the Joker.
Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix did phenomenal.
Yeah. I've said this in the podcast as well. Of like, I think his like Joker laugh was probably my favorite out of any Joker.
Yeah.
Like it was just so eerie and weird, and like you could tell he actually worked on his laugh, which is like really cool that he was able to go in depth that much with the character. So we kind of have the feeling of like, obviously we don't really care one way or the other if this was his origin story or not. It's really interesting, and I love one of the things I love about like movies like this is like it gives you the choice of not believing like whatever you want to believe, because we've seen evidence of that being ridiculous with some fan bases. But like it kind of gives you the interpretation of like it could be either or. So like one of the things I think of is like I don't know if you guys have seen Inception.
I have, yeah.
So like the end of that movie, like you have no idea if he's
if
in reality
real
or not. So like I love that fact of like the movie ends on a cliffhanger that you're never going to find out the answer. Hopefully not. I don't want to see an Inception 2. Yeah. But like you're left on a cliffhanger of like, okay, was that real or not? Like we need to know if that was real or not, but we're never going to know. And so I love the fact that like this was like, was that his origin story? Like it's like a question mark at the end of the movie. Like, was that the real thing? Like, you know, that's still really cool. It's not like, was that character the actual character, or was like, was that story true? Like, because the Joker is a pretty good liar. He's a pretty good liar in all aspects that he's been in, and so I really love the fact that they really played up to that in the story.
Because if it's in the movie, it's not trivializing the narrative.
Exactly.
You can still trivialize the narrative in the movie, but asking, is this real or was this all in this guy's head or whatever, that's something that's just kind of like, it's open to interpretation. It's within the movie itself. But asking outside of the movie, was this even the real Joker?
And another thing that I'd like to bring up that I didn't bring up in the podcast is it also makes sense why, bringing back to that it might be real, it also makes sense as to why this guy went to an asylum instead of just being put in the electric chair. Yeah. Because like halfway through the movie, he's talking to his therapist, and his therapist is like, "Hey, they're cutting the funding for like his social service, so he isn't going to get like his medication anymore." Right. So I mean, it's not his fault that he's mentally disturbed.
Right, and he even brings that up later on in the movie when he's talking to Ronald. Is that his name?
What's it, Ronald?
Randall.
Randall. He's like, I'm feeling much better. I'm not taking my medicine anymore. And like when he said that, people in my audience were like, "Ooh, no, this is not good," because like now he's like fully unhinged, which I think that's a really really good point of like, and that was such a weird flashback too at the beginning of the film of him being back like in the insane asylum. Yeah. Of like, why was he in the insane asylum in the first place? Like we're never gonna find that out,
I assumed at first that maybe he was there at first, but then after he got on his medication, he was able to like be released.
Yeah, maybe.
Which it kind of makes me wonder too, like, and this is just my own thing, but is it the fact that he's just this crazy simply because he's off his meds? I mean, a common joke that people make with Batman villains is that if you just give them a pill, they would have been fine.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true, actually.
I think there were a lot of factors.
Yeah. No, I think this was one of the ones of, like, this shows kind of the stark differences between, like, Batman and the Joker of, like, Bruce Wayne, even though he grew up rich, didn't have an easy life because, obviously, he loses, like, both of his parents die.
Yeah.
He goes through, like, a lot of other, like, psychological, like, torment and, like, things like that he goes through. Yeah,
because, like, especially when you're, like, a little rich kid, you can't tell who's taking advantage of you and who isn't.
And like he's like lives in a massive house by himself with his butler Alfred, which I'm really glad we got to see an Alfred cameo in this movie, which is really really cool. But like he grew up not necessarily the same way as the Joker, but he grew up on hard times as well. Of like he lost both of his parents. Life kind of just took a crap on him as well, but he didn't let that control him, or like he didn't let that push him over the edge. Right. Whereas Joker, like. Everything everything crapped on Joker as well, and he even makes the statement of, I always thought my life was a tragedy. I realized my life is a comedy, and so like he went the complete opposite direction that Batman goes.
I will say this: both Batman and Joker are kind of insane in their own rights. It's just
Batman's not a sane human being at all.
Yeah, it's just Batman goes in a different version of his insanity than Joker does. Like Joker goes full on insane, and Batman just kind of dips his feet in there.
Yeah, definitely. But I really enjoy that aspect of the story of like normally we just get to see the Joker talk about like how his life sucks or like how his life is hard. Here we got to see the full story unveil of like Joker losing it. You know?
At first, you kind of feel bad for him, kind of like when he's just being the clown on the street, and his sign gets stolen and he gets beat up by these kids. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's rough.
That is rough. And like one little kid was like 6 years old, like beating the crap out of him. Like, oh, Gotham, what is going on with you?
It kind of reminded me of in Game of Thrones where Master Pycelle, I think he got shanked by kids.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, no, like I really enjoyed the fact that we got to see this story take place of, he seems quote unquote like a normal guy at times, not at times, but like he's trying to be normal. Like he's just trying to live his life.
Yeah.
And so like he's been lied to by his mom, which we'll get into all of that here in a minute as well. But like he has a lot like that takes place in his life, and at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, he just like gets completely pushed overboard. And like falls, and so like he goes through this whole struggle, and so like we talked about this as well of like even like his first kill, well we think it's his first kill, but like the first kill of the movie is 2 of them at least are in self-defense.
Yeah,
because like he shoots the one, he shoots the other guy, he injures the third guy.
Shot the guy in the butt. Oh, it looked like he shot him in the butt.
He may have shot him in the butt. He shot him in the lower.
Somewhere
area,
but then
he just chases him outside and shoots him twice in the back.
And he just has the creepiest looking face on too. Like,
and this is something I didn't even bring up in the podcast as well. But like one of the things that I found really interesting about the trailer, and about even one of the posters, I think, was like how much he dances. Like how it's like kind of a
it's like he's in his happy face.
It's like his happy face of like he dances to kind of calm down. Like he dances to try to like re-control himself. And so after he shoots the 3 guys, he literally runs into a bathroom stall. And like I think it's one of my favorite scenes of the movie is just like the music playing, which I love the music in this movie. But like the music plays and like he just like slowly, like creepily does this like dance that kind of calms him down. And kind of sorts everything out.
I don't think it necessarily calms him down. I think that was him more or less finding out that he is kind of like in his own element. Like, you know how you kind of get that rush of adrenaline?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that, where, because I noticed that when he does that, he's just, like, super happy.
Yeah.
And another thing, too, like, I mentioned this in the podcast, like, we see him laugh and stuff, but that's only because of his mental condition.
Yeah.
But never once does he actually laugh when he is actually content.
Yeah. He smiles a lot.
Yeah,
he doesn't full on laugh, which I find very interesting.
I am glad they didn't overuse the laugh either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm glad they actually like made sense of the laugh. Of like it's not him just being like it is him being insane, but like it's an actual mental disorder that he actually has, not just toxins that got into his brain that caused him to laugh.
Right, he wasn't just like dipped in acid.
Right. Which I'm glad this movie didn't go full comic book with it. Like I'm very glad this was a very grounded version of the character itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Trying to think, what was something else I was going to bring up?
I kind of want to bring up the relationship that he has with his mom because, first of all, that's super creepy. Just how intimate a relationship they have.
Yeah, like, it's not like a sexual relationship or anything like that. No. But it's like uncomfortable.
Yeah, because like at one point he's giving his mom a bath and. It's really weird, and they share a bed. I mean,
it's just like the whole story of like him and his mother is extremely creepy, especially when you find out like he's adopted. So like that's not even like her kid, and like she did some messed up stuff to him. Right. Like she let him be abused, and like he was beaten and he was malnourished, and which Joaquin Phoenix's stomach in this movie and like body.
They found him tied to a radiator.
Yeah. Which I really hope that was like CGI Joaquin Phoenix. If not, because that's his body and like when
he got really skinny.
That was
it's almost uncomfortable to look at him at times because he's just so skinny. Like he almost looks like Slender Man a little bit.
Ouch.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But no, like I fully agree. Like it was extremely creepy. And like one of the things about this movie was like. You kind of, in some sense, like you kind of got comfortable with the character. Like the first like 30 minutes of the movie, you were kind of like, not comfortable, but like, it was like a normal character at times.
Yeah.
But then like after the murder scenes, and then after his scenes with his mother, and then when he goes fully crazy, when he comes on screen, like I felt uncomfortable.
Right, because they definitely framed this in a way where you don't necessarily root for this guy. Like, you don't feel sympathetic towards him either, really.
Right.
So, and I'm glad that they did that, too, because it is the Joker at the end of the day, and we do not want to root for him, I guess you can say.
Right. Yeah, and so it's one of those of, like, you feel bad because of everything that's happened to him.
Yeah.
But his response is like, "Ooh, this is not good. This is not going to end well for somebody."
Yeah, like the things that he does, like afterwards, especially in the last half of the movie, just make you super uncomfortable. Like each time he, like, whenever he was in like his Joker makeup, like towards the end, I was kind of like, "Oh man, when's he gonna snap? When's he gonna snap?"
Which brings us to, I think we all kind of three said that this was one of our favorite scenes, if not our favorite scene of the movie.
Yeah.
Is his conversation with Murray on the talk show. It was just really like you got a really good look at like how the rich side of town looked at him, but then how he looked at like everybody else. Rich or poor, it didn't really matter. He looked at everyone kind of the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
because he was like, hey, y'all cared about these three rich guys because, they're the higher up, but if it was somebody like me, you would just walk over me. You wouldn't care.
Exactly.
And so, like, when he is on the show and he is doing his little Joker thing, it's like, wow, that just makes you feel like, man, that's classic Joker right there.
Yeah, definitely, which I really, really enjoyed that aspect as well. Did you have something? I thought you would say something.
Nope.
Really, we covered a lot of this on the podcast itself, which we really want you guys to check out and listen to. Do you guys have anything else that you would like to add before we either move on and chat a little bit or call it a stream?
I will say this too, because I do kind of want to talk about this. It does kind of show like how bad mental illness can get when you don't have the proper care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, again, I do feel like maybe if he did have his medication to take, maybe he wouldn't have done some of the things that he did towards the last half of the movie. But they cut funding, and he was kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do for medication? And the therapist was just like, well,
who cares?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this was in its own not twisted way, but like in its own way was like, and I don't know if he necessarily meant for this to happen, but like when the character like the Joker, who has obvious mental like disabilities and mental illness, like this kind of shows like people can go crazy if they don't get the right help for their mental illness is not something that's a joke. Like mental illness is not something that should be looked on lightly. And like in the 80s, like 70s and 80s, it was looked at like, oh, you're just being weird, or like you're just being this one thing.
I mean, it is still kind of that way today, though.
Right? Yeah. So like I think this was a like a way of like, I don't know if this was his intention, but like this shows like, if people with mental disabilities or mental health issues, or like people with anxiety, or like whatever like the situation is, like it's not some joke or it's not some attention seeking thing. Like it's actual things that people need medical help with, or counseling help with, or something like that, to work through. I definitely agree with that.
So I guess my final thought would be, what did we all give it out of 10 and a letter grade?
Do that. Whoops.
Right.
I said, if you want to go watch my spoiler-free review, cheap plug, I gave it an 8 out of 10, which is like a solid B+. It was like 8.5, like 8.5. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I also give it an 8 out of 10 because the movie really did shine. Like, DC is showing that, hey, it's trying to make a comeback.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Which is
and
really
an A.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Really shocking.
I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
So I got a question for y'all. What's y'all's second favorite scene after the TV one? Like when he goes on stage.
I really liked the comedy club scene. I loved how intense it got and how like uncomfortable a lot of it was.
Yeah.
And you're kind of predicting a lot of different things that are going to happen. When he gets into the girl that he thinks he's dating's apartment, and you find out that, oh, well, that actually didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'll say actually probably the subway scene was my second favorite scene.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that scene. I really enjoyed the scene, though, of him, like, right after the subway scene, of him in the bathroom, like, doing
just
the dance.
dancing.
That was really, like, I don't know. It was captivating, but like weird and uncomfortable at the same time. But like it was done so well. Like it was done so well. I think that would be my second favorite scene.
Yeah, my second favorite scene after the Murray show was probably the scene where he kills Randall, and then he's just messing with the midgets. Because I'm like, man, that guy's gonna need some serious help after what he went through. Because there's just so many times you're thinking, okay, is he gonna kill him? Is he not? And it almost kind of messes with you a little bit, so I like that.
Oh yeah, I think that was, and like that's one of the things we talked about was like the times this movie was quote funny was actual genuine like being funny. It wasn't forced. None of the humor was forced. Like when he ran into the glass door, that was like a chuckle. Like that was a funny moment.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing for me.
When he was dancing with the gun and he accidentally shot it off, and then like his mom was like, "What? Did you hear that?" He's like, "I'm just watching a western." Like all that was like hilarious. Yeah. And then him with Gary. I think that was a little midget's name. Gary, like him and like Arthur, I can't reach the goal. All of that was just great. Yeah.
It's a very Joker thing to do, to kill a guy brutally and then be like, okay, but you can go.
You can go. Yeah. Or like when he shot Murray, like he shot him and then just sat there and just watched everybody freak out. Like most people think like he'd shoot Murray and then like start picking off everyone, like other people, but like he just shot Murray, turned around,
run away. But nope.
He just sat there like this and was just sitting there, and then got up, shot him again, looked at him, went back, dropped the gun, and just walked off.
That's another reason why I feel like we need a sequel to this movie. I mean, I like the movie on its own, but I feel like we need a sequel because all the people that he killed were people that deserved it, not necessarily like an innocent person. It was implied a couple of times that he may have killed some people off screen, like the girl that he thought he was dating. Like it's implied that he killed her, but we don't really know.
Right.
Same thing for his therapist at the end. It's implied that he killed her, but again, we don't know.
Yeah. But like that's kind of his whole thing of like, even though it seems like he's killing just to kill at times, like there is some twisted motive behind his madness. Yeah. Like in his mind, he thinks he's doing something, right. And like that's another like parallel with like Batman of like what Batman does is he thinks he's helping. Like even though like most people or some people think like he's just as bad as Joker, which I don't understand how you could think somebody that saves everyone is a villain, but that's
I guess because he constantly lets Joker go.
Yeah. But like he kind of has like he does the thing that he thinks is right. Yeah. So like they're both on like opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're like parallels of the same way. Kind of like Thanos and like Iron Man. Like they were like opposite ends of the spectrum, but they both were like if they had something on like a mission on their mind, they were gonna accomplish it no matter what. That type of thing. But yeah, no, this movie was absolutely fantastic. 2 8 out of 10s, 1 9 out of 10, which is very surprising, which is awesome. If you want to hear us talk about should this be a sequel or if they did a sequel or if Joaquin Phoenix showed up again, what should he be playing in or what should the Joker be doing? Check that out on our podcast on Friday. It was really interesting. We also get into a lot of like anime stuff and video games and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we talk a lot about it on our podcast. So check that out. It'll drop Friday at noon or around noon. Don't hold me to noon, but like between noon and 2, it'll be out somewhere in between there. So definitely check that out. Xander, man, we really enjoyed you being on. It was a lot of fun. This whole
Thanks for having me.
We'll have to do it again. We're definitely gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Let the people know where they can follow you at.
Yeah, they can find me at Xander the Commander Targaryen on YouTube, and they can also find me at Xander Targaryen on Twitter.
Sweet. His link for his YouTube channel is in the description, so definitely check that out. Subscribe to him, show him some love as well for joining us. We had a lot of fun. This is definitely going to happen again. You can follow us on Twitter at DorksNextDoor. Take out the E from next. Follow Jason on Twitter at DNDJason. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Andy York. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button for us. Like, comment if you are watching this video later. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. Next week we are going to be going live again, probably just to chat, unless something massive happens or I don't know.
Which very well could.
Because
like Spider-Man goes back to Sony or something like
that. I'm expecting Star Wars news sometime soon.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting close to time. We need some Star Wars news here pretty soon.
I'm not too excited for Star Wars.
And we're going to cut it right there. No,
we are going to have another episode about that.
Yeah, we're going to cut it right there, and we're going to pick it back. That's a cliffhanger ending.
Cliffhanger, yeah. You thought the Far From Home cliffhanger was big. This is better than that.
Yeah, Dork Next Door, Civil War.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that ahead of time.
Yes.
We're going to
we got things
keep that
exactly.
on mind.
We got things already planned. But we really appreciate you guys joining us this week. Catch us back next week for whatever we're going to talk about. We don't know yet. We really appreciate you guys being here and joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.